All right, we are live. Welcome everybody. Hopefully everything's working okay. Let me make sure is there. I don't know why my number thing isn't working. Let me know if you guys can hear me in the chat. Thumbs up or something, or a one in the chat. Make sure you guys can hear me okay. Let's see. That's working. Okay. I apologize, guys. If you guys can hear me, I've got maybe 2, 3 hours of sleep last night. So to let you guys know, I did some control tests last night. If you don't know what those are kind of like experimental tests regarding the Sebastian Rogers case. And doing so, I learned some wild stuff, very interesting, that I'm going to share with you. I did share with my members and Patreons earlier today, but I didn't share all the details. But I did show them some stuff behind the scenes of what I did last night at 3 a.m. in the morning, um, which makes me want to go out and do it, do a couple more things. But again, I appreciate everyone's love and support. Bear with me again. I am running off like 2, 3 hours of sleep. Because after watching my videos before I went to bed, it was just like, whoa. Okay, we've got some answers, or at least we've got some clues. So anyway, before we get started, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Make sure this is turned up. Oh, hey, now you can probably hear me better. All right, hopefully you can hear me. I didn't have that turned up all the way. I apologize. Again, if you're new to the channel, welcome. I am Chris with Monsters Under Our Bed. We cover true crime, mystery to the missing, and of course, we've been working on the Sebastian Rogers case recently. I did the lights, broke that down. It was a huge hit, huge hit. If you haven't seen them, I will play a little bit of that because I know we get new people, introduced to this case or what I have done. And so I will kind of play a little bit of that. But of course, I'm going to show you what we did or what I did last night. And it's very interesting. But we always like to get back by featuring missing people. So obviously, Sebastian Rogers' case is a huge case. Everybody's invested in it. So what I'd like to do at the beginning of each show is I take a missing person's case, usually someone that's just recently went missing, that doesn't have the same attention as Rogers, and show them at the beginning. And that way their family and this, poor lady, is hopefully found, or teenager actually. So this is Ashlyn Shingoose. I hope I didn't butcher her last name. She's just 14 years old, blue-green eyes, brown blonde hair. She went missing August 19th, so we're looking at, about a week and a half, and she was last seen in North Las Vegas. So not a lot of information, but just 14 years old. Let me show her a picture and then we'll, oops, that's not there. There we go. So there's a close-up of Ashlyn out of North Las Vegas, last seen on August 19th, just 14 years old. If you do live out in that area and you have any information, you can call 702-633-9111. All right. Again, welcome everybody. I wish I could shout everybody out for the love and support, but we'd be here all night. But I do appreciate it, and I will try to get to the chat as much as I can. So let me make sure this video's playing. All right, and I may have to turn down my donation thing here. Alert box. I'll do that here in a minute. Okay. What I'm going to do, just so I can fix a couple things, is I know like 99% of you are familiar with this case, but I'm just going to play a 2-minute recap of Sebastian Rogers, just in case if anybody doesn't know this case. So I'll play that real quick, and then we'll start talking about some of the stuff that we did last night. So let's do that.
Do now. 308 traffic court. 1008 traffic court. call you guys this morning and what's happening. A 15-year-old male is not in the bed. We have right now 3 blonde hair back in my bed, but we're going to turn down. I was going to be wearing a black sweatshirt, black sweatpants. You know, those have a kind of autism. It's the first time it happened. Right now, being at home before midnight. All the doors are locked at this time.
Sebastian Rogers is a 15-year-old autistic teenager who lives in Hendersonville, Tennessee. He was last seen Sunday night on February 25th by his mother, Katie Proudfoot. The next morning, on the 26th, his mother went to wake Rogers up and get him ready for school, but Rogers was nowhere to be seen. Sebastian Rogers was allegedly wearing a black sweatshirt, black sweatpants, his glasses, and his keychain flashlight. They also claimed that all of his shoes were accounted for, which means he is most likely barefoot. His case has garnered a lot of media attention, which has helped get his tragic story out to the masses. There has been numerous searches for Sebastian Rogers, including a landfill search in the beginning, to groundwater and air searches.
To censor myself, holy freaking crap, this can't be happening, where is my kid? Choice words were used. Like, you know, where the F is he, you know. I had looked through the house for him, because it was typical for him to get up and come and rummage for snacks and things like that, and he likes to dip behind the, you know, walls and watch, you know, and then he comes out after I come back and he likes to scare me. But after I looked, and I mean, mind you, all of this took place in like 1 minute flat, but I didn't see him in his room. I looked all over. I ran through the whole house. I looked out all the doors and windows, and I was like hollering his name, and I picked up the phone and I called my husband, and I said, I can't find him. And he said, what do you mean? I said, he's not in this effing house. I can't find our son. And I jumped in my car and I drove around the neighborhood, and I drove over by the school, and he's already, like, at this point I was like hysterical, and I was crying and I was screaming, and he was like, three-wayed. He three-wayed law enforcement, and was telling them, like, our son is missing and we don't know what's going on, and he was like, go back to the house, they're on their way. And I ran back, drove back to the house, and
okay, hopefully that turns that down. Okay. All right. So anyway, yep, that's just a quick little recap for anybody that's not familiar with this case. I'm sure most of you are, but again, Sebastian Rogers out of Hendersonville went missing on the 26th. So, and we just barely hit the 6-month mark, and finally, I think things are starting to happen behind the scenes. I'm hoping. I know the neighborhood. The people that live in that neighborhood are ready for this to be over, because they got a lot of people going out there, and you know, they would just like this hopefully, you know, Sebastian to come home, or you know, whatever, be safe, and you know, things go back to normal. But so anyway, I'm gonna play just a little bit of how the light situation, again, because I know I get new people that have never seen this before. So even though I played this many times before in previous lives, I have shortened it. I always add new things, but I just want to kind of get everybody on the same page of what's going on. And then, of course, we're going to get into the lights and the experiments I did. That'll be about in 10-15 minutes, so it allows everybody to come in. I do appreciate all the support. If you can, hit that like button. It really helps this channel out, and I will try to shout out people that have sent in donations and super stickers. So let me get this kind of lined up there. Linda, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. You are so awesome. And again, sometimes I do miss them, so I do apologize. And Virginia, thank you so much for the $50 PayPal. That is awesome. So originally they thought the lights had came from here. Again, I'm just going to quickly mention this and move on. But when the lights came out shortly after Rogers' disappearance, there was a couple of people and a certain YouTuber that did an overlay. And that's kind of where everybody had thought the lights were at. They thought the floodlights were kind of up across the street above, or across the street from the Rogers home. But that is not the case. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But yeah, they had thought the floodlights were here, and you know, we even mentioned that the lights were supposed to be garbage truck lights, and when I started getting into this case, 2 weeks ago or something like that, I wanted to go back at the beginning, and I was looking at those lights, and looking at this overlay, and it didn't make sense. So I did my own thing, and so this is kind of how I put everything together. So
have been assumed to be floodlights. And using this line, we can determine that those lights cannot be any higher.
oh, that got
than the
turned
hood of
down.
that truck.
Okay,
Using
might as
this
well. So anyway, I just basically did some basic measurements, math, whatever you want to call it, and realized that these lights couldn't be much higher than where this truck is parked, due to the camera angle. And then thanks for Slivers on scene. He drove by and noticed that this particular house had floodlights above the garage, and then it all kind of, I was able to kind of put everything together when it comes to the lights, and everything fit just like a puzzle. So here's me kind of originally working the overlay. And again, the other thing that was really tough is what happened is the homeowner that had this footage had leaked it, shared some footage to another person, and then that person ended up sharing it with Nick Barris. And then Nick Barris apparently ended up, kind of zooming in and recording it with his phone, and so he's kind of got it shaky, and so that's why we kind of have the lights kind of bouncing around, which that does make it a little harder to line everything up. But with technology today, we can kind of cut it up and kind of realign everything, and so that's what I was able to do.
All the way down the side of the house along the fence.
And so then I figured out that those lights were actually coming between the yards. They were coming from what appears to be the Rogers home, and they are going kind of diagonal, and they were going between these two homes here, which coincidentally, Chris Proudfoot even said that the scent dogs picked up Sebastian Rogers' scent and literally headed diagonally between the two backyards, and that really sent chills down my spine, because it's like, oh wow, that lines up, and that was probably Sebastian that night, in my opinion, when those lights were going on. And so here's just kind of a overview of what I did, kind of showing the lights, and where subject 2 and 1 were, and how they kind of crossed over. And you notice we see the lights, and I think the reason why we see the lights, and we're going to talk about the lights a little bit as well, is that they're kind of coming towards us because they are going diagonally. So I think that's why we get a good look at the lights for the most part, is because they are kind of going diagonally, so they are kind of in a way coming towards us. So that's why, for the most part, these lights do stay consistent and on. And so one of the things I wanted to check out was, what kind of lights were they? Were they flashlights? Were they headlamps? Were they cell phone? And, was it just a cell phone where you just have, the light? Or was it the cell phone with the flashlight? So I ran all those tests, and I'll share all those with you. I shared them with my members and patrons this morning. They got a kick out of it, and in my opinion, I think there's two that are kind of close, but when we get to that point, I'll share what my thoughts on it. Be curious to know what the chat thinks. And then the last part, of course, and the big part of today's show is I went to a parking lot with my car, and was messing around with the lights, and discovered something very shocking, in my opinion, that I think can also unlock a huge clue onto this car. Because remember, the neighbors believe what they saw was a sedan, and I know people are, not everybody, but there's so many people keep telling me this QX Infinity. I'm telling you guys, I don't know 100%, but I do not think it's the X Infinity. I believe it is a sedan, and I'll explain why here. I really do believe it's a sedan.
Right now.
But I want to play this short clip of the interview, because this always cracks me up. Well, not cracks me up, but I find this interview very interesting because they talk about the lights. I know we've shown this interview before, but there's just a couple of things that I want to play on this for you guys real quick, and that way I can get to chat.
There's nothing, and everything is still on the table to being looked at.
We just know he's out there somewhere.
One other question I have is, recently Channel 5 in Nashville, they had security footage that showed 2 flashlights the night he disappeared. Is there anything that you think about this video, or?
Sure. So there's a lot of speculations about that video that are floating on the internet.
So if anybody doesn't know, I'm sure a lot do that have covered this case. You know, Katie has, she's no dummy. She is very smart. From what I understand, she worked in the Navy, I think communications. And as a matter of fact, from what I've heard through the grapevine, is that from her previous career, allowed her to get into Brink security. So keep that in mind. I'm sure some of you, or quite a few of you, if you've been following, saw my recent video about the signal jammers. And my opinion, I don't think it's a coincidence. We got Little Red saying, who do you think is involved? I think there's quite a few people involved. I think it's an inside job. That's my opinion, of course. It's still possible it could be an outside job. But I think it would... I think the way the lights, how they're, for the most part, gracefully moving across the lawn without much trouble, unless these robbers or whoever, if it was an outside job, knocked Rogers out and was carrying him across, I think we would have seen those lights struggle. We wouldn't see just an easy, consistent lights crossing the yard. There is a part where they do kind of sit there for a minute, but for the most part, it's, very, seems, I don't know if cordial is the right word, but, I lean towards inside, but I could be wrong, but we'll get to that. But I just think it's interesting. Again, I've worked with mothers, especially I've worked with mostly mothers, which, that have sons missing, and the lengths that they will go to and any minute detail that they could look into, they will dive on it. And the fact that here she brings up the lights. Now, yeah, I can't remember when this interview, maybe it's been a week or two. Maybe I'm sure people in the chat can let me know. Because they didn't do their first interview for 8 days, which is really strange. And then here, it's like they're blowing this off. And then what Chris says really doesn't line up with what the experiences I've had with people that are looking for their missing child.
Okay, and that is exactly what it is. It's speculations. Now, what I can give you an official statement on is TBI Newslink has released a statement from
Thank you, Linda.
law enforcement, between local law enforcement, state law enforcement, some federal law enforcement, and they have analyzed that video so many times over that everything that everybody is trying to assume is a flashlight, I hate to say this, it's not. As much as we would love it to.
And I'm going to show you. It's more or less a flashlight, just a different kind of flashlight.
Be one, it's not. I'm not going to go into details as far as where that video is shot from, but I can.
So that, in my opinion, that the parents that I've worked with now, I'm not an expert in working with victims or, families that have missing children. I've only worked a few cases, but the ones that I have, again, they would jump on anything, any detail. And if that's a detail they can share that may, for the public, where they can help, they would do so. I worked with Candace Cooley. She was coming on my live show all the time to share anything that she thought could help, find her son. So for him to blow this off and then he's not even going to want to share, again, just that doesn't add up to me.
I can tell you.
So I just wanted to play that real quick. Penny, is it Penny? Yeah, Penny Parker and Linda, thank you so much for becoming a member. Linda again for the $5 super sticker. K9 Watcher, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. Sweet Dreams, good to see you. Thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. You guys are awesome. If by chance you guys do send a PayPal or Venmo, you don't have to, but if you do, could you let my mods know? Because sometimes my phone, it gets delayed. Even though I have the notifications on it, sometimes I don't get the notifications. All right, we're going to get to the stuff that I did here in just a minute, but I just want to explain this also because some people have seen my one video I did a couple of days ago, and were a little confused about something, and I just wanted to correct something real quick. So this is what, by multiple people, locals have told me, this is what the car did that night around 3 a.m. Baby Kisses says, that's right, Chris. I ran around for 4 months with my head cut off every day. Right. I don't know your situation. I don't know maybe you shared with me or not, but I'm sorry, and I hope whatever, happened, you had a great, a better outcome. But the car went up and then turned around. Now, in my opinion, I believe this was to jam the cameras, because I mentioned in my video 2 days ago or yesterday, all the days are starting to kind of blend together. I apologize. 100% for sure, ring cam was fried. Literally, the term fried. So, could it be a malfunction and it just happened to happen around the same time that Rogers goes missing and this happens? Maybe, but, when it comes to these kind of things, I don't believe in coincidences. And then there are, we'll say rumors for right now that other cameras had some missing footage as well. So, in my opinion, they were possibly running a jammer. And if you're not familiar with that, I have a video talking about that. This is the part I want to quickly explain, and then of course we're going to get into the lights. Now, I made this video, what was it, 2-3 days ago, and it shows two people getting out, right? And when I made this video, I apologize. There was a part where I guess I accidentally edited out what I had said. And basically what I was trying to say is that, there's two scenarios, right? We either got an inside job or an outside job. So the reason why I show two people getting out of the car is if it was an outside job, then clearly you would have three people, right? Because eventually we're going to have two subjects coming back across the lawn. So if it's an outside job, you would have two people. And that's where they claim the car parked, between these two homes, and that they went across. So that's for sure. So now, if it's an inside job, then there would have been just one person. So I just unfortunately didn't, for some reason, I guess that got cut out somehow. I was maybe in a rush to get that video out. So I do apologize that because I know some people were talking about that. So again, this is just a scenario. If it was an outside job, you would have two people getting out, if that makes sense. But then if it was an inside job, clearly you would just have one person who seems to be maybe a spotter, and then you could say KP, maybe it's CP's here, or this is CP, and one is really just kind of coming across, and then the other one really doesn't go far, and it's almost like they're there to just kind of keep an eye on, transferring Sebastian over. And then at some point, this car begins to move up closer, which is really interesting. I don't know why they did that. Here's me overlaying with a different, because I wanted to give kind of a different look, because I've overlaid this a bunch of times, and I wanted to do it with a different background. Shout out to Steve Crabtree. He went out there and got some pictures and amazing drone footage. He was, I believe he works for, I think, for the cell phone company. And so he's a local. Anyway, he was getting me some shots because I wanted to overlay from a lower view. But unfortunately, there's just so much foliage and trees that overlaying the lights with the pictures he sent me, even though it was so amazing that he did that for me, it was just hard because, you can't really see what's going on. So I found this one where it's basically a photo taken in 2007 where there's less trees and foliage, so we can really see where these lights are coming from. And so, again, we see the light clearly coming. If you're not familiar, this is the Rogers home here, and then we have the home with the three garage doors with the floodlights. Clearly, subject 2 is coming out between them. Then we notice it disappears pretty quickly. Now, what we have is a ditch, and as it goes along back here, it gets fairly deep. I'm not sure exactly. I've heard like anywhere from 3 to 5 feet. I guess it depended on where you're at with that ditch. It's pretty deep when it gets back there. So I think what we're seeing is them disappearing because they're in the ditch now. And then we have subject 1 who's just kind of hanging out between the two homes. Perhaps just kind of waiting. Again, depending on which way you swing, whether inside or outside job. Waiting for Sebastian to get Sebastian over. But then it seems subject 1 then does appear to move behind the home, so we cannot see him. And then here we have subject 2. Now we see a spot where, notice they kind of stall right here, which is kind of interesting. It's really weird. They're there for a good few seconds. Not sure what's going on there. And then finally they, of course, then disappear between the two homes. But yeah, it makes you wonder, was there kind of a struggle, or, who knows. But here's just an overshot of this, and then we're going to get to the lights. I know everybody's here for the lights. Like I said, I always just want to get everybody on the same page, so this is pretty much the last part, and we're going to get to the lights. But this is direction. This is credit to Crabtree. I'm going to fast forward this part. Then it looks like the car, from what they believe, the car actually then turns. And I think they believe it even happens as these people were kind of coming back around, which is kind of interesting. Not sure why. It's possible they could have been trying to jam this camera. I mean, because if you're facing this way, there has to be a reason why this car turned here. Because, you're faced towards the exit, right? Why are they going to turn here? right? Especially if the people are going in between these two homes. So there has to be a reason why they did that, which is really interesting. So now we have the lights kick on. And they kick on very fast. And this is one of the clues that stuck out to me. So skipping forward, we'll get to the lights. I know someone's complaining that I've recapped this a bunch of times, but you don't understand. New people are coming in and learning about the lights. So that is why I do a recap, and then it allows people to come in. So all right, so there's the tail light, and we have the lights here. That supposedly happens. Of course, we had 3 videos that supposedly came out. According to what they say, the order of the videos is the lights that go between the home, then this car then turns on to Stafford for some odd reason, and they say that it even had been there for a little bit, which is really odd. And we even see a light, so you could tell that probably that light that pops up right there. I'll make sure, you may not be able to see that. That is really interesting, which tells me that is probably a light from, maybe they were kind of coming back around, and that was, one of the subjects that we had seen. And then we have this where I tried to overlay where I believe the car was at. And I did this by using the floodlights from this home. And then this static light here, which lines up with this floodlight on this home. So we can see where the car was parked. I'm still working on measurements with the cut. But I'm going to share the new information today about, again, they believe it's a sedan. I know so many people want it to be a QX Infinity. I don't think it is. I've tried to overlay it. Doesn't look right in my opinion. And like I said, I'm going to share something new today that I think, I don't know if it'll say debunk it, but let's just say they know a little bit more about that car than even I'm able to share. And then we have just the last thing, which is this. Did I already show it? Which is the person crossing over, which is very interesting. And then the car leaving. Oh, here's this. So this is something I spotted new yesterday. This is the last video that was released. We don't see much. The light disappears, so in my opinion, this also coincides to why it's probably going diagonally. Is we only see the light for a brief second, and then we really don't see it until it pops up right next to the Rogers home. I think that's because it's going the opposite way. So obviously the light itself, the light source, is being blocked because they are going they're going diagonally the opposite way. But we did see the light for a minute, and we see the light for a minute here, and then that's it, except for this thing here, which I never noticed before. It goes the other way. So it makes me wonder if that was somebody, if you're saying if it was an inside job, so maybe that was one of the parents going back home, maybe CP or KP going back home, and that was CP or, whoever, just making sure they get back, and then now they're going back to the car, which is now already reversed back onto Kellen, and then they leave. We do have this light here that I'm still trying to figure out what the hell this is, because it's not the light to the to the home here. So this light, I'm still trying to figure out what the hell this is. But this is just on replay one last time. Again, just showing that, somebody, from what they said, and this is coming from the homeowners, is when they watched the video, I believe, is they believe this person had kind of ran back and like jumped over the ditch. Because even though the ditch is fairly deep, it's not too wide, so they believe that and you can see here the ditch. So it's not very wide. If you had a good run, you could jump it. So that's what they believe happened. And that's just going in chronological order of the 3 videos released. So if that is true, then, I guess that kind of leans more towards an inside job. Unless, there's more footage, and maybe if it was an outside job, maybe they went back to grab something, I don't know. But again, just to throw both scenarios out there. All right, now to the new footage. I know you guys all been waiting, but I'm always getting new people in here, so that's why I do kind of recap. I always try to make it shorter than the last time, just to kind of go through it. But I always like to get everybody on the same page. All right. So I did some tests at 3 a.m. last night. Bear with me. I told you earlier, I am super tired. Only a couple hours of sleep because after what I discovered, I was like super wired again. So I went to Google Earth and kind of looked at how far, the lights from the camera were. And I'd say Google Earth, when you're doing measurements, because we've done measurements before, they're not 100% accurate, but they're pretty close, So, we can say this is nearly a football field out, a little bit less from the camera. So last night, now
That's
again,
what I had to do, tie my camera up.
I wish I would have put the camera up a little bit higher. Again, I just put this all together, and I almost want to do this one more time, but this was what you call a controlled test. This is what, law enforcement does when they, want to show, reenactments, so they call these controlled tests. So this is basically a controlled test. And so I forgot my tripod. So I had to kind of improvise with my camera. So I ended up tying it up to a fence, praying that it didn't fall, getting it at a certain height. And then I went out 90 yards and then tried the flashlight, headlamp, cell phone, and cell phone light. And here's what I got.
And I'm going to go 100 yards to the dark to reenact the lights. Let's do it. Alright. Got the flashlight, got the headlight, and I got the cell phone. She's pointing out.
Ellie Blue, thank you, Chris Mods chat, for your dedication. Thank you so much. It means the world to me. Rachel says, read my comments, laugh out loud. I will try to. We've got over 2,500 people in here. The comments go like that. I'm sorry, Rachel. Thank you so much for the 20. Is there a shed door in a backyard like to go down under houses in backyard? Lays flesh to ground but goes down. Is there a shed door in the backyard? Oh, I know what you're talking about. Rachel, I'll answer your question in a minute. I think I know what you're asking. I hope. Let me continue playing. So this is a flashlight. It's pretty clear Again, I'm about between 80, 90 yards away from the camera. But there's something that we can really see pretty well, and that's clearly not only the flashlight, but the light source of where my flashlight. So I think that cuts the flashlight out. Now the headlamp at 80 yards away. Heather, whatever. Thank you so much for the continued membership. You are so sweet. Thank you so much, Heather. So here's the headlamp. It looks pretty good. But again, you know, I'm walking different directions. I have more video, but I just kind of edit it for time. But it still seems pretty bright. I would say it's possible if you had a headlamp that's maybe not as bright as the one I had. I mean, it's not the brightest headlamp, but it still does capture the lawn. You know, it kind of illuminates the yard, which we don't see. So I don't think so. I think it's close, but I don't think it's that. We got Kane coming in here. I'm here for the new surprise in the video. Okay, it's coming. I promise you. Here, you just give me a few minutes, and we're gonna get there. Thank you so much for the support. Wooded Lettuce, aka Christina York. Didn't Bobby the neighbor say CP was dressed in some kind of tack gear? It was at night. Oh, I think she's that might have been when she had mentioned that they were. It wasn't the same night. It was just later on, and they saw something suspicious. Bobby did, and they went to go look, and they couldn't find it, and they ended up turning down Stafford, and I don't know. That might be pertaining to that. The tack gear, I don't know on that one. I apologize, but thank you for the $5. Rachel says, don't apologize. You are so sweet. Thank you so much, Rachel. But I am going to answer your question. Okay, cell phone screen only. Now, I had something blue up, so keep in mind that would actually be white if I had like a white source or a white I had something blue on. Well, I mean my background's blue, so it kind of comes off blue if that makes sense. But here's the cell phone flashlight, and I'm pointing it to the ground. I'm kind of going up. I'm kind of acting like I'm walking, going back and forth. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. But my money is on the last one. It could be the cell phone light, not the flashlight, but the light. But I think, again, this is the cell phone flashlight. It doesn't really illuminate the lawn unless I'm like really down low. So I feel like it's close. But I think it's cell phone light, either the light or the cell phone light. But no, you're not blocked. Just I always get worried when people think they're blocked. Just be respectful in the chat. Not saying that's just not pertaining to you, but I always get a little worried when someone does that. No, I don't. You're not blocked. PK, thank you so much for the $1.99. All right, here we go. The car light test. All right, guys. Let's see who notices this first. Actually, some people have already noticed it, so I think some people already know part of the answer. But again, I wish I could recreate this under better circumstances. I wish I didn't have these lights in the background, but again, I this really told me a lot. Okay, so I have a Toyota RAV 2012. Okay, this is my car turned on without the headlight switch on, right? So the car is running. Okay, keep that in mind. Car is running. Now I kick my lights on. Now I put it in reverse. Notice the light. There's going to be a huge thing that's going to stick out here in just a minute. Curious to see who sees it. All right, now below us is the video. Keep in mind this video with the car light, is kind of slowed down. So keep that in mind as well. Oh, yeah, here's me walking to the car. Thought I tried to edit this as much as I could, as fastly as could, but I mean, look how fast the lights come on, even when it's slow. It's pretty wild, but there's something that stuck out when I did this. Thought I kind of edited the part where I'm walking to my car. But here is me. But something's going to stick out here in just a minute. And so there's the car. It's running. Now I turn my headlights on. Notice headlights get brighter. And the taillights come on, right? And then we almost have that kind of exclamation point with the lights. But here, I was trying all different angles just in case, like I could see something. But this is when it hit me when I came back. All right, so now I turn my car off, right? So the car is off. Keep that in mind. The car is off. I'm sure you guys can read. Now turning the car on. So notice what comes on when I turn on the ignition. Do you guys see that? Oh, thank you so much, Luna. You guys are amazing. Okay. Here we go. So, you guys notice something different about these two scenarios right here? So this is the video, right? And the lights are just going to, with the video, with the surveillance, the lights just kick right on, right? Just boom. I mean, they're so fast I have to slow the video down. My car's running, right? But my headlight switch is not on. So hopefully there's some car enthusiasts in here that can help me out. But it hit me like a ton of bricks when I came back to look at this. Now I turn my headlights on, right? To kind of recreate the lights, right? And then clearly we know that this person or the suspicious vehicle, after turning on the lights, they clearly hit their brakes and they're reverse, because we can see the reverse lights come on. But here, okay, one last time. Anybody notice something? Let me get to chat real quick, and then we're going to talk about it. Mama Riza, I hope I said that right. Thank you so much for becoming a member, supporting the channel. You were awesome. Baby kisses. Nice work, Chris. Thank you so much for the $2. Oh, we got so much more. Connie Brighton with gifted one mob crew membership. You are awesome. Thank you so much, guys. And again, if by chance you donate like Venmo or PayPal, please just let my mods know so I can thank you guys. Because again, I will do whatever I can. I will do more experiments. I do have another one planned because there's a few more things that I'm curious about. All right. Does anybody know something? I'm going to tell you right now the initials DRL. DRL. Because I guarantee this car did not shut off their. I can guarantee this car did not turn off their car. That car is running, in my opinion. This car does not have daytime running lights. There we go. Kristen King coming in. Daytime running lights. Here's me trying to reenact. Like, I'm thinking, okay, maybe there's a chance they turn this car off, right? And then they kick on the ignition and lights. I couldn't even do it as fast as they could. Even when I slowed theirs down. Look how fast there's. Nah, I didn't line it up just right because I was, again. But here's me turning on. Maybe this is not the one where I tried to do it real fast. No, I don't think this is the one I did. But there's one where I turned the car off. I turned the ignition and then I tried to flip the switch real fast. And I couldn't even get those lights to go as fast. And you could tell like it's switching even when it's gone fast, because notice how the lights. Is this the video right here where I do it? This might be the one where I do it. I might have been out of frame when I did it. Yeah, right there. Yeah, so I tried to attempt it. I'm sorry, my camera's way back, and I didn't realize I was kind of out of frame there. But yeah, I was trying to like have the car off and then kick it on and hit those flashlights the headlights as fast as I could. But you could tell. I mean, we would have seen that, right? We would have seen, a lower light and then headlights, right? So this car, in my opinion, again, I'm not a car expert, but I've been trying to do a lot of research, and anybody like a mechanic in here knows a lot about cars can kind of help me with this. But from what I understand, there's certain makes and models that are kind of known to not have daytime running lights. Well, some brainstorming. Yeah. Like I said, you got to go out and experiment, and play around with things. And yeah, there's more. Oh, there's more. Oh, there's more. But I do appreciate your guys' love and support. I love this stuff. I love trying to figure this stuff out. We need to get Sebastian home. Yeah, so that's what I heard. So there are some that have options. I do understand that. But there are some, and I believe foreign cars, Japanese, that are kind of known for not having daytime running lights. And because that's what I started looking up. Again, this is a sedan, I think. This car is a sedan. And I think we're kind of starting to narrow down what kind of vehicle this is. So yeah, hit that like button, guys. Yep, a Hyundai. Here is some stuff that I noticed. All right, so what do we see here? Most of these vehicles, you see it better from this view here. But here's just kind of cars just driving, and what do you see? 80% of these cars have. Remember those commercials? Your lights are on. You guys remember that? Your lights are on. They started adding daytime running lights. You can see it much better when they're up behind. So I started looking up, daytime running lights. Now I know that there are some that have switches and stuff like that. And again, I am not a car expert, so keep that in mind. I'm sure there's other ways and other theories. So again, we're gotta brainstorm. But Nissan, from what I understand, is kind of notorious for not having their DRLs. Here's a Nissan right here. No daytime running lights. No lights. Jerry says, I should have known this because I'm old enough to have been confused by daytime running lights. I'm thinking this car, in my opinion, is a model that's in the 2000s. Like 2000s. We're not talking 2011s. I'm thinking 2000s. Maybe up to 2012, maybe 14. I'm just spitballing. Sedan, because this is something else I'm going to do, man, and anybody that wants to help, if they want to go film, especially if you have a sedan and you have like a neighborhood that's really dark, if you want to film like you just kicking on your lights at a very dark area and send me that footage, I'd be so grateful, because we can see that these lights, if it is like an SUV, I think the lights would be higher up. Also, I don't think the car is very big, because when I overlaid it, it's pretty close to, remember if you've seen my video where I overlay it and it's got the cuts, the cement slabs in the back, and those cuts are 12 feet long, right? So this car is a little bit bigger than 12 feet. Again, we're working with angles, so that could, there's still more I've got to do. But the exclamation points, something else that I think I may have learned by doing this. Again, I still need to look at this, but here's a Nissan Altima? Yeah, Nissan Altima. That's got those lights. And I don't think it necessarily, now doing this, I thought, okay, we have to have lights that are vertical. But now looking at this, if the lights are not, if they're especially coming from an angle and they're not too big, it still could be non-vertical lights, if that makes sense. It could still be oval lights, if that makes sense. But something that this is another experiment I'm going to do, and it goes along with the exclamation, is I think this car also has to have a red and one of those white lights under it, sometimes they're the reverse lights, but not all cars have those white lights, again, I think we're looking at maybe a foreign model car, maybe a Nissan, in the 2000s. If you know a lot about vehicles and lights, and would like to share some stuff, especially in email, please be very careful with the emails, guys. I'm telling you, I'll never catch up on the emails. I know 99% of you guys are just trying to support and help me with stuff, but I can't get to all of them. I seriously cannot. Low 12 says it's very interesting. Yeah, it was very, like I said, it was really eye opening with the daytime running lights. Again, I know that there's some other workarounds with that, but I think that's a huge thing with that car, because there are cars, obviously with older models, and then I guess with foreign, because I guess when it comes to foreign, like Toyota, Nissan, where in the U.S. they were required something. There was laws, I think, back in here in the States in the 90s. I don't know, might even been earlier than that. Yeah, Nissan Sentra, Altima. Yeah, I was looking up. They were talking about the like early 2000s. Yeah, Toyota RAV4. Yeah, that's my car. I don't think it's a Toyota RAV4. But this is what I wanted to show. So the exclamations. And I think this could either be the other tail light, because the car is slightly, I think, at an angle a little bit, or it's the tail light, when you hit the brake. Remember, they're hitting the reverse. So what I think happens is we only see the one light, right? So we only see one light. So they had their car running, they kicked on their lights, right? This is what's going on here. Is they kick on their lights. So we got this light and we got the tail light on. Then once we see that little dot, sorry, I was just showing the truck. This is just some older footage that when I was originally putting this together. Of course, this is just super slowed down to show, but right now they kicked on the lights. We got the reverse light, but then, sorry, I'm trying to get it right, just right. Then they're going to kick it in reverse, and that's when we get the exclamation. Here, this is them kicking into reverse. Now, some say they believe this looks like a person walking around the car. I don't know. I don't think so. It could be, though. But I think definitely once this exclamation point pops up, that's a huge key. And I think that means that this car has something like this. This is what we're looking for. We're just kind of putting little clues together, right? Little minute clues. But I think we're looking for a car that has something like this kind of setup, where it's got the, I'm not a mechanic or a car person, but we got the white light with the brake light mixed into it. I think we're looking for that. Likely a brake light either here or in the window, but I think it could be the light from the other tail light, though. It's tough to say. Nissan Sentra, yeah. I wish I had more time to overlay some vehicles, but again, I'm telling you guys, I was up till like 4:30 doing these experiments, and then once I saw them, I'm like, holy shit! Like, I think we're we're getting a little more clues to the suspicious vehicle. But oh yeah, right here. So this is my Toyota RAV. My Toyota RAV4. I love that car. You'll even notice, even though I don't have vertical tail lights, right? This is what really kind of made me think these lights got that white light. Because what happens when it's out of focus is you get that exclamation point. I know it's probably hard to see here, and I've got to get a better angle for my car. But I notice, you get this exclamation point going. And I think that's because we've got that white light with the red in it, if that makes sense. Sorry, I've been rambling on, so I'm going to let this play over a little bit. So I want to answer somebody's question, because it's so funny that they asked this question, Rachel, because I actually was asking somebody about it myself, because I was wondering, because I thought they may have came out of there. I think you're talking about this, right? This is a crawl space. So the Proudfoot's home, it goes up. It's a ranch style home, they call it. And when you look at it, I mean, it's a door. And if you look at it street view, it almost looks like a regular sized door. But that's a crawl space. And so obviously that's to get under the house and for repairs, whatever. But yeah, I always, at one point when I did see that, I was like, oh God, did they come out that side door? Maybe that's like the washroom's right here and there's a side door to come out. But yeah, I'm assuming that's what you were asking about. Hopefully that answers your question. But all right, I'm going to get to chat for a little bit and play my stuff over again. And Angela, thank you so much for the PayPal. Heather Rose, you are amazing. And then we have Virginia, who came in earlier with a donation. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for the support. Oh, I think I already got that. And again, if anybody knows a lot about vehicles, and again, the biggest thing, if you have a sedan, especially you have maybe like a Nissan or something, like a Sentra or an Altima, and you got a dark driveway, and you could just record. If you have you need two people, but if you could just record turning that on from a distance, obviously just a side view, that'd be amazing. To get like a sedan, to see what that looked like, and then to maybe try to overlay that. That would be wild. Miss Wee Lassie, Chris, why do you think no interior lights came on when the doors opened for them to get in? They're automatic. That's a good question. I mean, we don't know if they're getting in at that point. I think the whole reason the car is backing up is to actually go pick them back up. That's just my opinion. I think those subjects were still back there, and that car for some reason turned down Stafford. My opinion, I think they were trying to jam that footage. That's just my theory, though. And then I think they backed up back on Kellen and picked everybody up. But yeah, you're right. When you do get in a car, yeah, your interior lights come on. So Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you so much, Ginger, for becoming a member and supporting the channel. You are so awesome. Debbie, good to see you. Thank you so much for becoming a member and supporting the channel. You guys are amazing. Um, yeah, that's true too. Interior lights can be turned off. Yeah. I'm more worried about the DRL, the daytime running lights, and again, and getting a sedan. I think there's still a few things I can do with my car where I need to get a taller view angled down, because I think what we see here. Oh, shoot. Yeah, let me go forward for just a second. I think what we see here is the actual light. Part of this has to be the headlight. You know, it's so weird. It's like you can't make it out, but part of this has to be the headlight. You know, because if you look at my car, like when I have the lights on, you know, look at. And so I need to. Where did I kind of went wrong is, I mean, I still kind of learned some stuff, but I needed to do it a little bit more at an angle and a little bit higher up. I thought I had the height fairly close. I knew I wasn't tall enough, but I thought I was pretty close. But yeah, there's still a few more experiments, control tests that we could do. But yeah, the whole lights thing was really interesting. CL says, looks like an old Volvo VD70 2004-ish vertical lights with white line on side. Interesting. See, we're getting close, you know. Kelly, the OG. I'm a huge Nissan fan, and I had a 2003 Sentra with those exact lights. Interesting. Yeah, I was looking a lot at Nissans, and oh man, Nissan looks pretty good. A Nissan Sentra, I'm not gonna lie. Altima 2, um, extended bumper, brush bar. Yeah. Thank you for all you do, Chris. Thank you. Like I said, we're not done yet, but I appreciate your guys' support. Um, and I'm trying everything under the sun. Right here, you know, it's really interesting. When you look at these lights, it's almost like you can see, you know, when you zoom in, yeah, you can see some things, but it's weird. When you look at it when it's zoomed out, it's almost like you can see more. Does that make sense? Like it's almost like you can like almost picture the car when it's zoomed out, like right here. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but it almost seems like um you can get a little bit more picture of the car. Um Again, I think another thing is with some measurements. I don't know. I guess it kind of depends on the headlamp, how bright the lights are. There could be so many variables in that, but I just wonder. Like I said, I'm starting to move to the measurement phase, as well. And again, yeah, I'm still thinking, but again, I'm just burnt out because I've only got a couple hours of sleep, so. Two headlights, one tail light. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think so, because if you think about it, let's say they kidnapped Sebastian. Would you want to be driving around with the tail light out? You get pulled over. Not to say it didn't happen, but It's possible. Uh, yeah, I don't think it's Tony Mathis. I have some theories on people. I'm not going to share those right now because, I think we need to get more information. Daphne says, I got a Nissan Altima 2016. I can control my DRL. I can record it for you if you need me to. Oh my God, Daphne, if you could, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. Even if I get a couple of people to do it, I'm down for that. And Nissan Altima, Sentra, oof. Yeah, something that's a sedan because I want low. Yeah, definitely a sedan type one. Yeah, we know taillights are not white. We're talking about the reverse lights that are mixed in with the taillights. I don't know. Maybe you're referring to something else. Little Dixie, total guess. Does look like a Kia Rio sedan, 2006. Maybe. I think we've got to do some more control tests, but I think this gives us a clue right here that guaranteed this car was not turned off. There's no way in hell. I want to say there's no way in hell that they turned down and then turned this car off. Plus, I think the interior lights would have lit up too, which would have showed them, right? And I don't know. Maybe on an older model car, maybe it wouldn't. I don't know. Until the door opened, maybe. I guess I'm kind of thinking of my vehicle. But yeah, again, I think we got to look at DRL lights. Cars with that. Thank you so much, Christy. Nissan Rogue. SUV, yeah, like I said, I'm going with the locals. I don't want to say convinced, but they're pretty sure that they believe they saw a sedan. So I think, but again, we got to look at it at all angles. That's what we do on this channel. We look at everything at all angles. So, but I am trying to get to chat this time. I know a lot of times I just ramble on and then end the show, but I am trying to kind of react to the chat with you guys. I really do appreciate. Can you turn the picture into a negative? Yeah, I obviously I did that. I could do some more negative pictures. If you would like. But that's right here. This is... Let me blow this up real quick. This is where we get some more... We get a sedan. And then I could overlay what they did. If you do film it... If you could film it like, say 15 feet away, if you can, and slightly at an angle, just a tad at an angle, just a tad. Anything would be great. But remember, look at the cut between these cements right here. So see how I have the floodlight lined up? I got the floodlights semi lined up there. We can get an idea of this vehicle and the length to, I think, within inches, maybe, if we ran a bunch of different numbers. But anyway, I'm rambling on. I'm so tired, and I want to keep going on. See something, say something. Oh, is this one of your channels where you have to pay? No, because I just responded to your thing. I've been talking with everybody. Anyway, but I do appreciate you being a member. Says 2003 Century, you can manually turn off the interior lights when you enter the car. I had one. Okay. The 2012 Hyundai Santa Fe does not come with factory installed LED halogen daytime running lights. Interesting. Yeah. Anyway, got a lot to think about. But yeah, if you guys could send those in, yeah, if there's multiple videos with some sedans that I could work with, I will see what I can do with them. Creator tonight showed a car pulling into CP driveway, and it could be a good fit. How do I tell you, Creator? You could send me an email, the car, or you could just put it in the chat, unless you're trying to be discreet. But again, I'm trying to get my emails down, even though I'm telling people to send me in some stuff. But thank you, Chickbait. Rebecca, thank you guys so much. But I think I'm going to end it there because, again, I wasn't really planning to go live today. I just happened to have a itch up my butt last night. I just, like, I couldn't sleep. And I'm like, I've got to go figure out what kind of lights these were that they were running around with, which I think we're fairly close on agreement that it's a cell phone. Now, is it the flashlight or just the cell phone itself is debatable, but I think we can all agree the other two clearly show that you can see the lawn and stuff, and we don't see that in here. So I think that kind of answers that question. And there's more work to be done. Thank you so much, Michelle. I do appreciate it. Again, I'm trying to answer, get to chat. Original picture. I'm not sure what you mean, image. Sorry. Into the driveway. I don't know. It's possible. I haven't seen that, but oh, thank you so much. So tomorrow we have a members live. We may pick up an extra mod because I think my mods need some help. So mods that are here, thank you guys so much. Karen Lee, D, Jocelyn, I know you had to go to work. Copper Horse. Thank you guys so much. I think I even saw Michelle in here. I really appreciate you guys coming in with 2,500 people in here. You guys are amazing. So, again, if you can send some videos in of some sedans, especially if they're Nissan, that would be amazing. Or something similar to sedan, and I'll see what I can do. And we will be back Monday. So, with that, I love you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. And members, I will see you guys tomorrow.